You're on.
And welcome to the show. This is our Great Lakes Post live stream. I'm your host, Casey Campbell. Thank you for joining us. And you're probably wondering who the man on my left is. Please welcome former Brighton High School football player, as well as many other sports. Also, he played at Michigan as well as in the NFL with the Vikings, the Lions, the Cowboys, and I think you played in some other league. I'm not quite sure. But joining us right now is Drew Henson. How are you, Drew?
Hey, Casey. How are you today? Thanks for having me on.
No problem. I'm doing pretty good, man. Drew, we all know you went to Brighton, and of course, you're still talked about here. What's it like, and do you remember your times from there? What do you remember most?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's one of those things where we just turned 40, and us that was part of class of 1998. It's hard to believe 22 years have passed since we graduated and moved on to new things. I remember, there's so many things from high school I remember as clear as day. Whether it's where your locker was, where your classrooms, classmates, and teachers you had, and certainly every sport that I was a part of, and every team and season. I can remember games. I can remember tournaments like it was yesterday.
What were some of the biggest memories you've had at Brighton, like playing football?
Our junior and senior year, we made the playoffs. I believe we were 8-1 in 1996, and then we were 9-0 in 97. And just those teams that we had, the coaching staff that Bill Murray had put together, and the group of guys that that crossed over. Just you have football teammates, and some of those teammates are on your basketball team, and some of those teammates are on your baseball team. That group that I came up with, we had a lot of guys that played multiple sports, and you really got to be tight with them as well as your other teammates. But we had a ton of success. We're undefeated, like I said, our senior year. We got beat in the playoffs, but having the perfect season and regular season is something to be proud of. And whenever I'm back or I'm talking to my old Bulldog teammates, those are great memories we share.
What was it like seeing Brighton go to the state finals this year? I think you flew in the day in, if I remember talking to you back in the day.
I did.
What was that like?
I did. It was fantastic. I mean, that's the goal you set every summer when your team, when you're in training camp and you're preparing for the season. That's the ultimate goal, is to get to the dome and play it and play where the NFL team does. I remember it was the Silver Dome back in the 90s, and you'd have T-shirts and you talk about it because that's something that brings everyone together. And there have been some good Brighton teams, and they just haven't quite made it there. And so as I'm following the team this season, then you see the remarkable and great run they have in the playoffs with a couple last minute comeback wins. And, it's one of those things where, I wasn't going to miss, if any chance possible, to see those guys compete for the state title. And unfortunately, they didn't get it done that day. But at the same time, the memories are what you really take away from it, and the season and the playoffs and getting to Ford Field and sharing that with the town, because it's not just the players, it's the school, it's their classmates, it's the whole town of Brighton that was able to come together for a rally like that and really support the school and the squad.
And also, when you look at that year itself, how many former teammates did you see there?
Oh, probably a dozen. And that's just walking up and down the rows, and people grab you or make eye contact. But I'd imagine, there are probably 10 to 12,000 people just on the Brighton side. So, anyone from our class or in the classes in between that's been around Brighton or associated with them, they were out there, and it was great to see.
Have you met Coach Lemons? And I know I was able to help you get in contact with him. Have you had any interaction with him?
I have. We spoke just after the game and have been in contact since. Logistically, it was Thanksgiving and travel, so I wasn't able to get there before the game started. It was right at kickoff, but we've been in touch. And once all this coronavirus things blow over, that I'm looking forward to getting back to Brighton at some point and meeting with those guys and catching up with them, because they're doing a fantastic job.
All right, coming up next, we're going to talk to Drew about his college days and whatever else. And then later on, we'll talk about his NFL and MLB days. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Is that beautiful? And then you're going to have the same thing.
Is your money not sure what to do with itself? At Ally, we'll help it save for the future with our smart savings tools. For all things money, you deserve an ally.
And we're back. All right, well, let's go to your college days. Of course, you were at the University of Michigan, and that was a quarterback heaven over there. What was that like that first year?
That first year, it was, it's a huge adjustment. Just simply from going from high school to the Division I, high Division I level. But then there are a lot of other things mixed in on my own side. I had been drafted and signed with the Yankees and signed a contract with them that allowed me to spend half the year being a college quarterback and student, and the other half being a minor league baseball player in their system. And so there's that constant balance that between those two sports and school kept me pretty busy. And then as far as that specific season, my freshman year, Michigan was defending national champions from '97, and we got upset by Notre Dame week 1, and then the team battled back. We ended up tying for the Big Ten championship and beat Ohio State. And so it was a great first season where I got a lot of playing time, and I backed up Tom, and it was a great year.
And then after that, you kind of tried the baseball route, and notably with the Yankees. Why the transition?
Well, I got to a certain point 3 years in where I really hadn't had one day off. And I felt like, at that moment in time, I had to try to decide, what route I wanted to go. And having the opportunity to get traded back to the Yankees and have some control over my destination was a factor. And I decided to go and play baseball full time. And after doing that solely without having football in my life, because up until that point, I just go back from one sport to the other. And without having football in my life, kind of made me realize that, I'm a quarterback at heart. There's certain things that I can do that are part of my natural personality. And those things, more than anything, I missed. And then I got to a point where I was still young enough that I could come back and play in the NFL.
And now let's go back to the NFL. You wound up with the Cowboys, where I think Bill Parcells was still there. What was that like to have him around? And I think Drew Bledsoe was there too.
Yeah. Yep, I was there with Drew Bledsoe and Tony Romo, and Sean Payton was our quarterbacks coach and play caller. And the great thing about Dallas was, when you get to hang around with someone like Coach Payton, you learn the game in a great way. He teaches you all about football, not just the details of your position. And even though things didn't work out well as I hoped, as far as understanding the game and moving forward in this business, that was a great experience.
And also, and then you spent some time with the Vikings, and then you wound up in the Lions, and then you got to play on Thanksgiving Day, of course, in 2008, of course, the 0-16 team. I'm not sure if I want to remind you of that. But what was that experience like?
Well, another experience that was unique, the 0-16 year. I call it the perfect season. But in that situation, you're a guy on the team that you're trying to keep things positive because it sucks to put in the work every week and continue to get it beat week after week. So I knew my role was on the team, and I was just hoping for a chance to get in the game. And when I did, I came out firing, and first pass again, threw a 20-yard out to Calvin Johnson, and didn't play a whole lot. Those are great experiences and memories that I have.
All right, coming up, we'll talk about what Drew's been up to today after this.
What is this thing?
A Roxor.
Ain't no turn signals.
No traffic where this goes.
Ain't no plastic.
Nope. Box steel frame, too.
Woo-wee, that's purty. No nav TV screen.
It's up there.
Ain't got no license plate.
Ain't street legal. That's the best part.
If you're looking for unmatched capability and industrial strength durability, it all starts here for under 16 grand.
Ain't no toy, huh?
Nope.
And we're back. And of course, we're talking to Drew Henson, who's to my right. Drew, what are you up to now?
Well, currently, we're quarantining like the rest of the country here in Florida. My wife and our daughter, we have a little small condo here by the beach. So like everyone else, we're doing homeschool in the mornings and early afternoons, trying to get through the assignments and the Zoom meetings. But other than that, I've been meeting with NFL clubs. For the last year or so, I've been networking around the league and getting to know the front offices with the aspirations of joining one of their scouting departments. It's something that I've always wanted to do when I finished up playing, more so on the evaluating team building side than on the coaching side. I had the opportunity to do that with the Yankees for a few years when I was done playing football. But, like I said, football has always been in my heart. It's been something that I've wanted to do a post-career. And so right now, just kind of figuring out where teams are at, what the virus is doing to this next season, and figuring things out.
You were also named to the Michigan Baseball Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you?
It's honor, very humbling. But mostly it brings back memories. Like you mentioned earlier today, that's all we really have to take with us. And I remember a lot of games in March and April on the bus with my teammates and Coach Caro going to play double headers, from places like Pinckney and Chelsea to Fowlerville. And then, of course, our league, games against Howell and South Lyon and Heartland. Just great memories. I remember all the baseball fields perfectly. I remember snowouts and makeup games in May. And, of course, I remember especially my junior and senior seasons when we had really good teams and made deep playoff runs.
And also, the question comes up, and there's been articles out there. Do you anything about your career in athletics?
Regret's a strong word. I don't regret anything I've ever done, and I never will. I think with perspective and a little bit of age, I think the one thing I would have told myself if I was going back is just to have a little patience. When you're young and motivated and there's opportunities, sometimes you're not enjoying the process and the development and trusting that it'll all get there when it's supposed to. But again, I've had wonderful experiences and, the type that no one else has ever had. So I've had a great time and very grateful for those experiences, like I said.
All right, Drew, thank you for coming on the show today, and we look forward to having you on again.
Hey, thanks for having me, Casey. You guys are doing a great job.
All right. And we'd like to thank you for coming on as well. I'm Casey Campbell from Great Lakes Post. Join us next time on our live stream show. Have a great day, stay healthy, and stay safe.